Hello beautiful people, we are live, we are back, and we're talking about synastry. Okay, welcome to my channel if you're new here, and to my OGs, thanks for riding with me. Pew 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 pew. So we're taking it to the next step. We're moving on from Moon, Venus, and Mars, and we're heading into Sun synastry. I feel like this has been a request from one or two people, so I'm very excited to start off Sun synastry talking about Sun in the 8th house. My OGs know that I'm an 8th house stellium, so the 8th house can't hide from me because that's where I live. This is my specialty, okay? Other than talking about synastry, of course. So let's just get into it. Sun in the 8th house. As the house person, they feel like the sun person is their twin. The house person, you know, they kind of go through life feeling like no one understands them. And then when they meet the sun person really illuminates and brings clarity to all the things that the house person feels like are unexplainable. The house person meets the sun person, really admires them, really feels like they are living in their true expression, and they feel like the particular style of the sun person is exactly who they are inside. They meaning the house person. They feel like that's who they are inside. That's what they've been kind of struggling to communicate to others. On the flip side, as the sun person, you don't feel nothing like the house person. The sun person feels like they're maybe a similar font to the house person, but the sun person kind of sees the house person's personality and is like, I'm like a completely different person, I express differently, I like different things, we don't relate. A lot of times with this overlay, the sun person tends to have a reaction that's like, I don't like the house person. Mind you, they really are like the same person. The sun person is just triggered by them in some way, whether they realize it or not. Sometimes this can be like, ugh, I hate you, I don't want nothing to do with you. And other times it can be like, you know, like, I don't feel anything like them, I don't feel like we relate. But, you know, they're a friendly person, I'm a friendly person, why not? And it can be the house person sometimes too, that's the one that's like, ugh, I don't want nothing to do with this person, you know? So they both either trigger each other, or it's like one of them is intrigued, one of them is not. You know, this one, it's hard to tell how you guys are gonna react to that initial like mirror of seeing each other or seeing yourselves in each other. Really, you guys are showing each other a side of themselves that they didn't know existed, or a side of themselves that was living in denial. A lot of times this can be issues with jealousy, insecurity. And these can either show up in the relationship between you two, or as you guys get to know each other, you see it in the way they interact with others. There is a feeling of trust here. There's like a level of familiarity. This couple is the type to bond, like, tell me something you've never told anyone before. Their first hangout, it's probably gonna be a whole day, whole night type of deal. Or it's like, you know, you guys are talking on the phone for hours. Over time, the house person sees a lot of potential in the sun person, a lot of creativity. They see their gifts. The sun person sees that the house person is meant for something bigger than whatever they're currently doing. I feel like you don't meet someone with this overlay without it being this kind of like instigation for growth. But the sun person really feels like the house person, when they meet them, is playing a small role and that they can just do so much better. These two are very awkward with receiving compliments from each other. They're usually trying to like downplay and like shift their attention back to the other. I feel like with this one, neither party in the couple wants to kind of like be in the spotlight. Usually the sun doesn't mind like being the one looked at or focused on, but here it's kind of like it's weird for either party to have too much attention or take up too much space. There's big awareness in this fact that like when one person is kind of gaining something, the other person is losing. There's an awareness of how the universe works, how there needs to be balance. You're just very aware of how the scales are being tipped. Lots of IOUs. It could be a couple also that like focuses on compromising, where it always feels like someone is kind of guessing the short end of the stick. This has to do with each person's individual issues. In a relationship, there is no reason why you two both can't take up space. Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. But yeah, that kind of like balance, that's something that's part of the journey of this overlay, something that you guys have to figure out. In the beginning of this connection, it's the house person saying like, wow, I've learned so much about myself. Once it gets to the meat of the relationship, it's gonna be the sun person's chance to say, I'm learning so much. Mostly the sun person is starting to see in this relationship, they learn a lot about their own resilience, their own tolerance, and also about their willingness to commit. In the beginning, it's an exciting moment for the house person to meet someone that they feel like, wow, you know, they can explain all these things that have kind of been hidden from me, kind of been mysterious about me to others. And then it's like, oh, but I kind of actually liked the air of mystery that I had around me. And now I have this person in my life that I can't really fulfill that side of their personality. So they may try a little bit harder than usual in the relationship to keep more things to themselves, to kind of reclaim privacy, reclaim their little secrets. It's unfortunate for the house person, but no matter how much they try to kind of reclaim that mystery in them, the sun person will always be able to see past the walls. The sun person will always be able to see the wall and then a doorway that kind of leads them through that. And this contributes to the discomfort of neither party kind of wanting to be in the spotlight, because the sun person feels like they have a little bit of an unfair advantage because the sun person is able to keep secrets. And so yeah, it's all contributing to the imbalance that's felt here, the need to give like, oh, I owe you this, and the inability to receive in this connection. The house person needs a lot of reassurance in this connection. It can be intense. Like, a lot of times people on the outside really don't have any idea what's going on in this relationship between this couple. On one hand, it can be that, you know, this is just a really private couple and the strength of their intimacy is kind of based on their inside jokes, their inside language. On the other hand, it could be that there are things to hide. It could be that there are things that if other people knew what was going on in the relationship, that they wouldn't want this couple to continue to be together. When it comes to 8th house synastry, I feel like if we're comparing like moon in the 8th to sun in the 8th, with moon in the 8th house, there is a lot of like raw unhealed trauma that's touched on. A lot of the interaction with it, or how it comes up between you guys' communication, or how it manifests within the relationship, is very unintentional, subconscious. With the sun in the 8th house, these unhealed traumas come up. I feel like these parties are more aware of what their issues are. They could or could not be actively working on them, but they are consciously aware of them. However these unhealed traumas come up in the communication, or however they manifest in the relationship, it's usually a defensive action. It's usually more intentional than unintentional. It's like, you hurt me, so now I have to hurt you back in a similar way so you know how it felt. Because why would you do this to me? But yeah, the 8th house synastry is always very complex, very complicated. But on a positive note, with this overlay, you guys tend to be very creative with each other. You share a lot of the same spiritual beliefs. As always with 8th house synastry, there is a lot of potential with sun in the 8th house to get very deep. You know, the house person in this connection borrows a lot of courage from the sun person. They're like power coupled together. Individually though, the sun person might be a little bit stronger on their own than the house person. The house person is like a behind the scenes work in the shadows. But with the sun person, they can take the stage together and thrive. There is a lot of chemistry with this overlay as well. No matter kind of what you guys bicker about, you always come back to that point where it's just like there's so much potency between you two. But I think the biggest thing that you learn with this overlay is that strong chemistry isn't what makes a relationship work. If you have strong chemistry, that means you also need a strong container. And if people are just operating from their pain points, their wounds, it kind of distorts the chemistry. And those strong emotions can be used to turn against each other. But build a strong container, you know, go to therapy, mature, understand your purpose. Once you have that, this overlay can be really powerful, really healing, very influential, very intentional, and most importantly, very passionate. But yeah, that's all for Sun in the 8th house. Kicking off the Sun synastry, we're gonna go through all the houses. If you want to have a say in what video I do next, pop it in the comments. See you at the next one.